Mm. Welcome, everybody, to this fourth day of our learning series. And today we have none other than Varsha Gore. We all are familiar with Varsha. She is the chief dietitian at Apollo Hospital, Navi Mumbai. Varsha is also the secretary at the IAPN India. She is with us as a faculty on Academy of Nutritional Sciences. And today she's going to speak a lot about different aspects of nutrition care. We had lovely talks all these days, first by Sana, Zamrud, and Sapna. Each talk was different in its space, and as we said, that this is not going to be a structured, lecture. This is going to be a very cool, calm, casual lecture where people can ask questions, where the speakers will give their practical inputs of managing kidney diseases. And today, I will hand over to Sana and Varsha. Sana will be moderating Varsha's session for today. And yes, I'm here if we have any more questions. Over to you, Sana and Varsha.
Good afternoon, Varsha ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so today we begin the label reading. I think this is going to be the most enriching session of all these days. Really looking forward to it.
Can we start?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we can get
Allow
started.
me a few minutes to share my slide.
Yes, ma'am.
Now it is on mute. Let me know when you can see the entire screen. Yeah, is it visible?
It's visible. It's visible.
Thank you.
We can start this.
So, first of all, I've been through all the sessions, and thank you, Academy, as well as Eileen, for putting all of us together. It was indeed a learning session and understanding, and we feel that there is so much work more to be done. So, it was like Renal Nutrition Unplugged, empower your kidney health, practical tips and insights. So, today's day 4, and what points am I going to discuss? These points is something are the queries which our patients often ask us. And as a consumer, as a neighbor, there are a lot of thoughts. And now with the shopping, what we do online, there is a lot of thought process. Yes, what should we do? Whether we are doing right, wrong, and what is the way? So I think this session should enlighten and give us some thoughts that how are we shopping about. So nutritional labeling was, not known when we did our post graduation, and we hardly used to look. People only look at the label because they want to see what is the product and what is the price. Buy two get one free. That sort of. But now nutrition labeling is a big initiative, and we all look at the labels. On the go, traveling, we are looking for snacks, and snacks are known as big cheating because they have calorie driven, lot of salt, additives, process. On one side, we say no, don't eat snacks, but other side, we don't have any options. So, being a renal kind of a program, we'll try to design a renal plate. Of course, this renal plate is not going to be the same. It is different for every patient, but based on the food groups and the nutrient components, we'll try to understand the plate and then individualize it. Another point what I would like to drive for renal plate is that CKD goes through various stages. So one diet is not going to work for one patient. One diet will also not go for the community. So it will modify as per your ABCD parameters, your clinical complaints, the gut issues, and the treatment what you're taking. Shopping, looking at recipes, because everything, if you can't shop or you can't eat a processed food, then what should we get? So, healthy eating options, we'll try to have an interactive session with our team members and let's see what more we can do it. Also, I would like to talk about the mindful eating techniques, which is a very important time because everything goes through the mind. If you're convinced mind, then your everything will work rightfully. So, like we have a hand and no one finger will work, our renal nutrition is exactly like that. And there will be a repetition, which we all know when it's about calories. Calories are never deprived. But what we talk is about electrolytes, sodium, potassium, phosphorus, fluids, and proteins. I may not touch upon proteins, but I will give some tips and the protein content, how you kind of modify. Like one point, what I would like to give at this moment is that when you're in CKD, in the earlier stage, the protein restriction is not there in the first, but later you restrict. So we talk about one protein source per meal, but when you go towards dialysis and when there is a lot of catabolism, we add two protein source. So this is a simple tip what I would like to add. Then we look at the phosphorus and nutrients. So if you have to control kidney disease, we cannot leave our five fingers together, but we have to hold it like a grip and guide our patients, community, and each one of our students too. So this is how a simple label will look. And if we closely look at, we'll not even bother. There are only some dark things where we study only about the calories. But there's something known as the, if you look at more finely, there will be serving size. That is one of the important things. Because as a patient, if I say that don't eat chocolate, like yesterday Zamrud was talking about pediatric nutrition, and or as an elderly, we know there is a concept, chocolates are good, you're a diabetic, so how much portion can you take? So based on the serving size, you can pick up the serving size, and once you know the label, how much content of nutrients is, it's easier to pick. So it does give information of macronutrients, micronutrients, serving size. Apart from that, there are added micronutrients which we hardly look at it. How much is the sodium? How much is the, sometimes there are labels where there is no right information put on that. Plus, there are a lot of food additives. So you look at two aspects. You look at the serving size, you look at the sodium, protein, phosphorus, potassium, sugars, fats, everything. The two aspects what I was talking is about the ingredient list, because as a kidney patient, or if you want to educate, we need to understand the ingredients, the basic ingredients presented. Then you look at the various content. So here is a detailed label where while we spoke that yes, the serving size is important, then you also look at nutrient, which nutrients are present, whether in the earlier stages the fat is more, or in chips you see how much of salt is there, the portion size. So when you talk about potassium, we can categorize potassium into three categories as low, moderate, and severe. So low potassium would be somewhere we give potassium below 150 milligrams per serve, 150 to 250 as moderate, and 250 to and more is above that. Similarly, is for sodium, how much around 100 to 140 per serve is considered as low. And when we talk about renal nutrition, often we find that we choose or we have to choose products which are low in sodium. So, all in all, just don't look at the label or the price, look at the content, look at the nutrition, and let's understand whether it's a right pick or how much to choose at a given time. Sometimes we get overboard and we are buying too many things. So, select one item at a time so that your wish list or a cheap kind of meal can be done from it. We are not, and if you go to the list is like really huge. I found this interesting survey. Normally, I support my talks with lot of literature and research papers. In this, I just kept this to only one because I thought it is talking about labeling. And it is so interesting that this survey is done in Malaysia, where there were 2,500 foods and beverages. And of this, they found that 79.4% of the products were included sodium, but only 11% and the lesser amount were had potassium and phosphorus in the label. So see how much kind of information we need to study. Of which they found that sodium containing added foods were there in 78.6% of the products had high sodium added foods, whereas the others had about 28.5 and 46.9. So roughly around 50% there were additives containing potassium and phosphorus, which is a load. So that is the very reason that nutrition labeling is an important tool. It is a guide which will help us understand our patients of chronic kidney disease patients to understand what choices we can make. It can also help us to evaluate whether it is the right decision what we make or a wrong decision. So that is where somewhere your mindfulness is going to help. I've also put this slide because I wanted to put one more message in our group, in our community, that let us evaluate few products which are commercial and which are made by ourselves, and then compare on the nutrition. So this can be a little small project or initiative which we can take and understand that where are we heading to and how we can support and help our community. There is a label, and we all love cookies and chocolate. So this is a label of a dark chocolate cookies and some healthy chips. In the healthy chips, if you look at, palak chips is one of the product what I found. And if you look at the serving size per one serve, that's 30 gram, had high content of sodium. So this is where a label can really reveal. Everybody thinks, yes, potato chips, it's bad. Of course, it is bad, but where you can eat it, how much to eat it, we can make an informed choice. Other images about this chocolate chip cookies, where you look at the ingredient list, there's a big ingredient list, and also it has added components, the flavoring agents, the soda bicarbonate, the sodium benzoate, the preservatives, which kind of add a load in terms of sodium. So if you look at the label of these chocolate chip cookies, sodium per serving, that is around 16 grams of cookies, 305 milligrams. Immediately, if recommended low sodium is around 140, just by eating a cookie, imagine. But there are ways. If we have, there are uh, so many of us who, past post COVID time, and these days there are a lot of apps and support groups where they post recipes and pictures. I think we will also try to do that, where we can show and depict that how the sodium content in your diet can be cut down, and how you can manage. Everything is in your hand. How you can manage when you have a right kind of information. Because when we take 1 gram of salt, we know how much a sachet of salt has. 5 grams has around how much sodium. So that is the way we look at the label. We have to literally dissect how we would do dissection during a class, and it then becomes a easier way of understanding. Once you know your label, I think you are there itself trained that yes, this is somewhere whether I'm going right or wrong. The most important topic and thought about is, we always talk about salt. When you visit, it starts with the, from your near known ones to your doctors, till they reach us, that everybody is just talking about salt, that reduce your salt intake in your diet. But do we know that what is the right amount of salt? And not only a brand of salt, you will have so much of variety. There will be a light, there will be a Himalayan salt, there will be rock salt, and so eat less is one. So it's not only the type, but the quantity. Each thing matters. Quantity, quality, selection. So it's a general, by now, when I can talk about many years, almost 3 decades before, when we were talking about our college projects, we were doing like, for hypertensive patients, we knew that sodium was not good. So potassium salt was planned. But now, when you're talking about kidney patient, our kidney patients, whether they can safely take potassium or not. And still the myth continues that all the rock salt which is available, the pink salt and X and Y salt, are all kidney friendly. But once we should understand and look at the label. So just to identify what are the different types of salt available in the market. The routine salt, what we use is the table salt, refined salt, which is fortified with iron, and it has other agents. The sea salt, which is actually from the sea, but it has other minerals like magnesium, potassium. So reading label gives a lot of information. Then the most common ones are the pink salt or the rock salt. So one is from the underground deposits, one is from the Himalayas, and the pink color is actually due to the iron component in it, but it also has potassium in it. There is a common myth among the patients that, okay, it's a pink salt or a rock salt, so let's use it. It's indam namak, so use it freely. And so that is why when we take our patient education, we do counseling, we have to show the measurement spoons, the scoop size, how much a pinch is equivalent to. That will help them to understand the amount of salt which is required or which can be taken in whole day. And when you divide, for example, you have 3 grams salt plant, We would divide as into three meals like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we always thought it's salt and the spices and the oil which gives the taste to the food. Yes, but how much is in our hand? Our health is in our hand. So controlling salt with the right source is very important. You add salt towards the end of cooking, you will require lesser salt. You take measured sachets that will help you to count your salt, what you are taking. There are so many spices and herbs which can enhance and modify the flavor of food. So the taste is not, if we have this thought of salt is only adding to the taste, we can have so many ingredients. We are, our country is blessed to have so many healthy plant sources wherein we can use it for as a salt substitute. Of course, you need to choose, pick up the right one for the flavor. You can use lemon juice, kokum, not the kokum extract, because the kokum extract what you get in market is soaked, and it is a lot of salt is added to it, and then the extract is put up. So then the salt extract is much more. So if you're making something like a fish and you marinate with, you can marinate with some kokum, lemon, all the herbs, and towards the end add salt to it. That will enhance the flavor, and you will end up adding lesser salt. Again, tamarind, tomato puree, the vinegar. So unknowingly, we take lot of salt. Maybe when you're going through the markets, we use pickles. There are salted fish, commercial products. Now, this picture of snacks and the bottled drinks and easy to go nuts, you wouldn't believe it's from our own hospital. There's a small store, and in a rack, if you count, there are more than 100 items over here where there are biscuits, there are makhanas, there are green peas, chanas, and there are khakra mix, then there are chaklis, then the makhana, murmura, bel. Each one is processed, high in salt. So here, if you go to a supermarket like a D-Mart or a Reliance, imagine how much, it's a kind of a mental way that your temptation will not stop. You will be, definitely you will end up buying or picking up some things. So some small tips is always pick up a small size packet, know the portion size, read the label and pick it up. When it for drinks, you have to never drink from bottles. You know there would be a fluid restriction. Again, the sports drinks, the fluids, the electrol, because it is high in sodium and potassium, this kind is causing a load unknowingly, because there are people who really don't know. If you just take a recall and try to check for yourself, you must have eaten at least 10 processed foods in a day. So we need to make a diary. When we tell our patients in our counseling sessions or students, we can give this activity that what are the processed foods which you have included, and per serve, how much is the sodium content, the potassium content, or other minerals like phosphorus getting in your diet, because then are nuts, and people are really, when they take nuts, ideally, it's a recommended amount is about one service 25 to 30, or it's what can fit in your in the fist. So that is the requirement. But we need to be a little bit mindful when we get to see all these products which are so tempting. After sodium, I would like to move to potassium. And we all must be knowing, or I would like to tell that most of our Indian diets is vegetarian. And one of the things what we hear here is that if you are a kidney patient, don't eat dals, don't eat vegetables. If you are not eating dals and vegetables, what are you eating then? You are a diabetic, then again you're restricting. Your day typically starts with bread, biscuit. So we need to educate on the content rather than just saying no, this is not. So I've categorized as green, orange, and red. That is low in potassium, moderate, and high. So the way which is marked as green, we can use it freely. Whatever is a one serving, whatever you're cooking, you can do it. So generally the gourd varieties. Now something like methi, we know it is a leafy vegetable, but when you pluck few leaves and it has a strong flavor, add it in a roti like a thepla, or in a combining with a dal or a mixed vegetable can change the flavor. So that could be a permitted way of putting in your. So it is using. So nutrition is not only a science, but it's an art which you will kind of make into a healthy and a nutritious recipe. The fruits are commonly, which are known as the gap fruits, that is guava, apple, papaya, pineapple, which are listed. You can have a good salad using this combination. So your diet plate looks colorful and healthy, and the way that will suit your health. The moderate ones can be taken after leaching. uh, Similarly, the occasional ones are the ones, typically the roots and tubers and the leafy vegetables. Again, the no-no is about the coconut, which is the coconut flesh or coconut water. Now we are looking at when I'm talking about fruits, there's a lot of craze with these new fruit varieties, the smoothies, and we use, dates, banana, avocado because people think they are healthy. But being a kidney patient, you have to think how much content of potassium it is, whether it's the right choice to use or not, or how much amount can we really take it, because it's just the proportion which you have to cut down. You do not say no, but you are saying permissible limits as which will be suiting in your day's prescription. Then some other practical tips of controlling potassium. As I just discussed, first choose low potassium foods, which you can be taking in each meal. Another advice, what we say, we also do the leaching method, and this method is done for vegetables, dal. So, one of the advices what we give is that sometimes you're restricted on water, you're restricted on dal consumption, and you have limited vegetables. So if you look at our Indian cuisine, there are a lot of traditional recipes, whether it is a Gujarati community, South Indian, Maharashtrian. So what we can do is combine a vegetable preparation along with dal. So all in all, it will be a good combination as a nutrition. It will include your food groups, and then you will tend to not take much of the potassium load through your portion, as well as you get a balanced diet. There has to be a satiety, there has to be a protein component in your diet. So we cannot say a diet which then what will a patient eat? You cannot even have water. So we have to maximize on the allowed list and minimize on the avoid list. So, fruit, definitely you have a rotation, seasonal fruits which are permitted. Use one different fruit rather than just having just fixing an apple every day. So you can rotate the fruits, reduce the quantity. You can combine with a fruit yogurt, and that is how again is another tip where I would like to suggest that combining a fruit and a curd, like a yogurt, fruit yogurt, and this particular season of summer when you are thirsty, when you are craving for something sweet, you want something cold, it can definitely help you to feel much better. When we are then there are certain foods which could be, high in potassium, high in phosphorus. So typically there are communities where they feel that the cooking cannot be possible without adding nuts or seeds or coconut. So we have to cut down on that. Maybe in one preparation you can take, for example, it is a South Indian, and they are accustomed to using coconut in their breakfast, lunch, dinner, in the chutney, in the poriyals, in the curries, everything. So select one item wherein you can use it, and that can be your limited prescription, what recommendation you can advise in your diet plan. I did mention about this, but talking about beverages, check on the fluid you want to permit. Then avoid tender coconut water as a routine basis, juices or sports drinks, because instead of that, you can have healthy choices. You can have lemon barley drink, ginger ale, fresh kokum drink, add a sweetener to it, or just refreshing kind of water. It's a good digestive, add jeera. So all these can be a nourishing, healthy, and seasonal beverages which we can incorporate in our diet. This is again the list. We move on to phosphorus. So I will not get into each column, but if you look at phosphorus, before I get into the phosphorus list, it is covering all the food groups like the cereals, millets. And now we know that there are millets which can be rich in calcium and phosphorus. Also, we have to understand foods which are rich in phosphorus are also protein rich. So here comes the question of dairy. How much dairy would we permit? So if you want to permit on dairy products, maybe you can choose 2 tablespoon of curd, or you make a buttermilk, or you use a curry preparation, so that you are still on low phosphorus. And if your diet prescription allows you, there is no concern of phosphorus, maybe you can use milk powders, you can use paneer. So this is how you can choose the ingredient as per your blood parameters and your clinical condition. Egg whites are safe for all, no restriction, because it's the best protein, high biological value. Egg whole, we have to be a little careful, because egg yolk also contains phospholipids, which again is a concern when you, because if you look at kidney patient, they generally would have some, or there is a risk of having some other comorbidities, like whether it is hypertension, diabetes, obesity. So we have to be mindful, or you may be undernourished. So if you are on the malnourished side, and yes, maybe you can balance between egg white and egg yolk. So 2 days you give whole egg, but 5 days you give egg white. So something like that, you have to tweak the plan and make it user friendly. Non-veg could be generally no, but if you take, generally when you break the bone and if you mince it, you will get more volume, you will get, it will look appear more. So that is the way you can enjoy it. You can mix with vegetable, you can put a small amount in a tikki. So that is how you can incorporate the no list into yes list, and that could be as a safer limits. Phosphorus is for long-standing CKD patients. Phosphorus is a concern, and hyperphosphatemia is predominantly present. So, generally, clinically, we advise that there should be a low phosphorus to protein ratio, but the recommended amount is around 800,000 milligrams per day. But how can you match up? Like the most, as I said, mentioned before, that most of the phosphorus sources are going to be your protein sources. For example, the best and the commonest one is milk and dairy. So one thing is that you can, like if you want to plan about 60 grams of protein in your diet, we can give an allowance of 600 milligrams of phosphorus. So if you look at the charts, if you look at your nutritional products, the commercial products, you can always pick up a product and decide how much phosphorus are you getting in that per serve. Then one more point I would like to drive is related to nutritional supplements. Irrespective of whichever the stage of CKD is, there is a standard understanding that there has to be a low potassium and a phosphorus. So the commercial scientific products, which can be like a whey base, they can be a calorie dense formulas. These are definitely safe to be used. They are low in phosphorus, and we have seen the benefit of using this, because these can be easily taken during the patient, because they have to have good nourishment, they have to have good quality proteins. So in mid morning, and the best part about supplementation is that in smaller cup size, you can have good amount of protein. You can adjust the protein as low protein or high protein. You can adjust the fluids, and it is not adding the load of phosphorus, potassium, or sodium. So supplementation is one of the key component of your diet prescriptions. I did mention about apart from leaching, when you boil it, rather than taking it raw salads, raw vegetables, when you boil it, there is a demineralization by which the content can be reduced. Of course, when we work as a team, there are certain patients who have a chronic issues, and in chronic issues, they may be prescribed with phosphate binders, and we need to support with our medical team that these binders will be there, but these are the dietary regimens principles what we can adopt. Then we shouldn't forget that phosphorus in our diet is also coming in different ways. The colas, the drinks, uh, has lot of phosphoric acid, and we need to take care. And that is why these fizzy drinks are big no-no, and the replacement of such drinks or needs to be taken care of. So we have spoken about sodium, which did speak about potassium as well as phosphorus. So while we talked about muthi mein se do teen, we have spoken about. Now we look at a little different aspect. Because when we talk about recipe, you cannot really separate potassium, sodium, and they are all the ingredients which are coming in your recipe. So when you make our recipe, definitely, and it's the main thing, because anyone, food, the basic necessity of life, and people say, "Ha, hum jeete hai khane ke liye." So everybody wants to enjoy their food. So we should train, we should have a right knowledge of what ingredients to select, what cooking methods to use. Like we use the leaching method, we use the soaking method, choosing the right ingredients, use of herbs, because using certain herbs will reduce the sodium content, double boiling. So suppose potato is no, but occasionally if you are making cutlets or tikkis, you may want to add some amount of potato. There are other ways also. For example, your traditional way of having pav bhaji. People want to eat pav bhaji and they feel that a pav bhaji is something where you cannot make it without potato. So here you can have, even for kids or even for adults, if you add a gourd vegetable or loki, it can easily get into it. Pumpkin, it can easily get into it. And so that is how you can tweak the recipe. I'm just throwing ideas, and maybe when we have discussion, I think the participants may also add certain of their inputs, how they have changed their patient's diet prescription, and how that has given kind of good learning, and that has helped their patients. Cutting down on phosphorus and balancing the protein. So keep a rule of protein, that do not restrict proteins, because protein is an important component of diet. Decide on the prescription whether it is a low, moderate, or high. So choose a serving size which will suit the protein content. Mix combine ingredients so that you can add proteins, and just say no. And as Zamrud in our discussion did discuss about renologues, so there is a way every prescription is going to be precise, and it will be individual specific. So whether it is doable, not doable, where are the ingredients getting sourced from? Like we know, we see international patients, we see patients from remote towns, and where there is not access to ingredients. So our recipes and such kind of information is going to help. In fact, last week we had a community, in the sense, Apollo community program in our hospital, which was specific for a dialysis. So we had made the meal plans for that, and there's a plan to have this on a every monthly basis. And now the idea has come that they were so thrilled with doctors talking, dietitian talking. Next time they are going to incorporate exercise also, because when you talk about proteins, not only about proteins, it's about exercise. I'm just going little away from the topic, but because kidney nutrition and kidney health is a chronic one, it cannot just stop. So I'm just adding certain things which is coming to my mind. So we have television screens, so that during dialysis, so they have requested to put such videos through which are there in hospital. So maybe if we are able to curate certain renal nutrition things, we would also propose to put it in our own dialysis center. So that is one of the points which I wanted to highlight on. Then, while we talked about ingredients, I thought let's talk about recipes. Thanks to various websites, nutrition, and the Kidney Foundation organization, from where I could take access to the pictures, and I have put it over there. When we talk about dhokla, it's just adding soda bicarb. When you talk about biscuits, there is a lot of ingredients which is going to add the sodium load. But when you make something like a rava dhokla, or a mixture of poha or oats, a handful of oats, a multigrain dhokla, you can add curd as a fermenting agent. So that's where the unique recipe comes. When we travel, when we go out for movies, it's not only the samosas, but maybe a popcorn. Again, how much popcorn can you eat? Maybe a small portion, but corn in the hot corn in a cup, you can take it, which are going to be safe. Then you can have the permitted vegetables. These days, the cooking techniques, while I was talking about cooking techniques, the air fryer, where the oil is saved, and the dehydration method, where the air dries up the moisture, and with very limited oil, you can make crispy things, non-fried things, healthy and tasty. Use of pumpkin and potato as a blend, and you can mimic those veggies. You can have chilas, you can have a dessert where we can incorporate it, kidney friendly ingredients, like having a pineapple shira, or any kind of laddu. You can have theplas, you can have nuggets, you can have soya blended. when you are for snacking in parties, you can take a pineapple paneer. And these are just ideas which I thought I will put it over here, so then we can discuss. And we would definitely love to have interaction to understand what more can be added, probably renal specific booklet, renal nutrient specific recipes. This is what one of my messages is. So we discussed about ingredients and listing, and I did cover on that. But still, some things like eating bhel. So have a dahi bhel where you can incorporate curd if you're on a high protein diet, and you will know that bhel is something snacking. You will not be able to stop. There is no satiety. Never eat from the bowls. You take a portion what you want. Have something like a fruit yogurt or a parfait where there's a combination of fruit, so that you get the natural ingredients of fruit. You add a dip to it, and you can have a little bit of hummus. You can use as a spread. Use a egg. So these are certain snacks, because snacking is not just cheating or not for the tip of. Many people think that snacking means it should fill the gap, but somehow it happens that we fill it with the wrong nutrition. We add a lot of fats, there's a lot of salt coming in the snacking. So we need to think smartly when we select our snack items. Then the concept of renal plate. So this is a renal plate. I thought this is a big plate where we it divides into three components. One is the energy giving food, which is coming from your cereal grains, maybe millets if your health condition allows, and which one is the right one we can choose from it. This is an international picture. It's not, but this was again a study where there was a plan to as a development of a visual aid, so that it is an education material. And if you look at the South African population and the patients, they use lot of vegetables, and their diet is really high in potassium, phosphorus, so non-vegetarian. So that is what one of the initiative was, and they created this visual aid for the kidney patients. So on one side you have the energy giving food, one side you have the protective food, where it is giving your micronutrients, and other side is the bodybuilding, where it is giving your protein content. This is a renal plate. So 50% you can consider micronutrients, gut health, other comorbidities such as dyslipidemia, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, which can be a part of renal diseases, and we cannot overlook our vegetable food group. So 50% of your renal plate, what you should select the right vegetable from low and moderate, select a quarter from your the protein, the beans, pulses group, and then the grain groups, and then add it up with the good amount of herbs, spices to make a good plate. So this is what it describes, that half the plate with low potassium, quarter with protein, and quarter with the grain or starch. When you are selecting, choose whether you are using natural or processed food. Fluid balance is, I'll talk about fluid balance a little later, maybe when I talk about mindful eating. So this is all what the renal plate will do. One of my suggestions to the academy is that maybe we have a project where we create a live model where we are able to show different kinds of renal plate, probably as per the progressive kidney disease, or probably community base like a South India. Because India, if you look at our country or in the city where we are, you have people who eat a lot of cuisine of different communities. So community specific. So this is another initiative which I personally feel I would be interested, because we can work on it and there's a way forward for it. Now comes one of my favorite topic, and that is on mindful eating. So mindful eating is, uh, when for some may not understand, but when it is time of rosa, or when today is, I think, Ekadashi, what is our patients told me, and so that is how I know. So we are governed by our mind. Every day they want to eat a lot of food, but when something is there, like today Ekadashi is there, so they want to fast. So similarly, why that Ekadashi came? Because in their mind it is there that, oh, it's a time when I need to fast. So your mind can control a lot of things. It's like your CPU. You will have to make decisions with the right knowledge. If you have the right knowledge and you are mindful, your decision making. So the nutritional knowledge and being mindful will have a better impact on the overall process. So why do I eat? So this may be a question for us or our patient. Of course, many people get into a depressive mode because they feel that there is nothing to eat. So here we have to tell you have to eat for the energy. It is for the nourishment. How much to eat, we will tell you. You also have to exercise because by exercising, your muscle gain will be there. It will also help you to have better mental health. It will help you to release good hormones. When do I eat is the right time? Yes, sometimes this advice, now is the mango season, or we have a dialysis patient. So, at times we can bend the rules. We cannot break rules all the time. We can break rules once in a while. So if you want to choose something like mango, and when you're on dialysis, we can pick up a mango, we can pick up a high potassium ingredient, which is your favorite, which is a seasonal one prior to your session. So that will get being utilized before the session. So there are ways, but a mindful eating is not, it's a one-time effort. It is a continuous process. Why? It's like our SMART goals: specific, measurable, accurate, realistic, and tangible. So it's specific to that, like SMART goals. I think mindful cycle about W's and H is a really powerful tool which we need to take it way ahead so that it can make our life and our patients' clinical condition better. So how we can be more mindful? I think I'll close near to my closing session. So how we can be more mindful? When we I started doing with label reading. So in label reading, read the label, see the sodium content, see the phosphate additives in it, and choose according to your label. Choose the amount. I'm just summarizing those process. There's a culture, easy to go is the processed food. Like you want to eat tuna sandwich, you want to eat tinned pineapple, or a lot of brine, sugar, phosphorus, preservatives, so sodium benzoate, potassium chloride. Many of these ingredients come. So if given a choice, choose a fresh one. Processed foods will always have higher load of this. Buy when it's in season because fresh nutrients, the nutritive value is better. Cost wise, it is much effective. Make a list, like you make your work list, make a shopping list, our patients list. So user friendly list which they can pick up. Our patients do have to travel. So when they can travel, what can they pack during their traveling? What can they include? So maybe they know all 3 meals they are going to be out, but one meal they can carry some things. They can pack few healthy snacks. There are snacking products which are low in salt. They are protein enriched, so we can use such snack items where there's low sodium potassium load. And this is how all these points can help you be really mindful and make a better or a very good choice when you are looking at it. Portion control, using right cups, glasses, measurements, because it's very difficult to just say no. Rather, we give moderation, we allow the permissible list always. Now is the season when there's a lot of thirst, and as kidney patients, not all kidney patients are restricted on fluids, but there could be a restriction of type of fluids also. So A, you should know what is your fluid requirement. B, if you have to mindfully tackle thirst, uh, always take for at the tip of the tongue cold water, or a chip of ice or a block of ice cube, which will give a soothing to your mouth. Then third thing is, if you want, you can freeze certain food pieces and have it so you can keep it in suck, keep on sucking in the mouth. So there. Otherwise, you can take water. You can just drink a lot of water and rinse your mouth. So it's not getting in, but it is giving that cold feeling. It is quenching thirst all the time. Now being a season, this is not a nutritional advice, but this is the in general advice. When because of the hot season, you tend to sweat a lot, and you are going to feel really sweaty. So avoid spicy, oily, greasy foods during daytime. Control your portion size. Use proper gadgets. Use an umbrella. Stay indoor. So these are the some of the mindful ways apart from nutrition which you can incorporate to have a kind of way of selection and maintaining sodium potassium balance. So I would take to my last slide, which is on takeaway tips. And as we do our ABCD, I have built up this ABCD that there should be ability of understanding to read the label carefully so that we can educate and advocate on label reading. We build your meals around the renal plate model. Now, every renal plate, yes, there will be guidelines, but as we know, the guidelines will only guide, but there will be a practical tip. So make a combination of guidelines and your practical tips and build up a meal. And I'm myself very enthusiastic of creating these different kind of plate models in future. Choosing smart snacks. So we did see few of the recipes, but there are apps, and I think we'll take in a discussion how smart snacks can really make a difference in our craving, because snacks only talks about cravings, and let's not just do it, but do it the right way. So refer to your dietitian. She is the expert person for your personalized advice. So with this ABCD, I would like to close on my this presentation. Thank you. And these were my resources where I took the pictures from, and I opened the forum for the entire team.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. It was very clear and very impactful. I'm so glad we got a chance to your expertise. This. So, ma'am, we'll take the questions. The most common question asked by patients: Can a patient eat a bread? Eat bread?
Okay, fine. Okay, I'll be taking answers, but sometimes in our from our group, the renal core group, who are there for last 4 days, if they want to add certain things, they can also give an opinion, because all of you all are experts. So let's not stick on to one's advice, but let's hear from everyone so that we can
Yes, please.
have a better understanding and
Yes.
knowledge collection.
Perfect.
So generally, there is the day starts with bread and biscuits.
Hmm.
So if you look at it, uh, read the label. I'm already repeating again.
Hmm.
Composition wise, nobody can eat a bread slice single. Look,
Yes.
it is a processed food.
Hmm.
It is maida. So
Yes.
as it is, bread is not a great option or a healthy option for any one of us. But if you're eating 4 slices,
Hmm.
get into an open toast. That
Hmm.
way you can take. You
Yes.
can make it into a salad,
Hmm.
and then you can incorporate. Or if rather than, so the portion control is my answer, rather than saying zero down, or I would also not say that have it on daily basis. If
Yeah.
you would like to add
Ma'am,
anything, maybe.
what we do is for dialysis patients, sometimes we allow them to have it in between dialysis, because the pressure generally falls, in between dialysis. And what happens is if you give them healthy food in between dialysis, it's like a big turn off. So sometimes we use that like once a week in between dialysis. Like you said, we will cut down the portion and can give them once in a week. So, ma'am, how to increase iron level in renal patient who's anemic?
Uh, okay, I'll take a thing. So, if we know the pathophysiology and we know the function of our kidneys, erythropoiesis is one of the important function of the kidneys, the red blood cell formation. So, there is a likelihood that such patients, hemoglobin is going to be on the lower side. Have a balanced diet, include iron-rich sources, have a protein balance, because it's not iron, which will improve your hemoglobin. You need other supportive bioactive elements, incorporation of vitamin C, the protein in your diet, and such patient will also need supplementation or injections, and we should, because they are going to be
Yes.
in a long run. Any add-on for this?
Yes. Answers. Can you please show the slide of renal pyramid, and is garden cress seeds allowed for iron?
Okay, so I have not put a slide of renal pyramid on. If you Google it up, you will get lot of slides on renal
Yes.
pyramid,
Yes.
but
Yes.
they were very confusing. That is why I kind of took this initiative that we are going to create a plate and pyramid which will suit our culture. All of the pyramids
Which,
are from the
yes.
international. By and large, I've tried to keep our presentation to our Indian, diets, because it's just not taking the picture. It was
Yes.
very easy to just take a picture and put it. Now also, if you Google it, you will be able to get.
Yeah.
You will get potassium pyramid, phosphate, renal pyramid. but they
Yeah.
are not clear. So I would not like to put a renal pyramid per se, but just
Mm.
to add and suggest is that you will renal plate is a better model where you have, so
Mm.
all the food groups are there. So you have your
Mm.
understanding of total calories and proteins. Then you
Mm.
next take your serving size of grains, vegetable group, and then vegetable and fruit group, and then you make a diet template.
Mm.
This is what my suggestion is. If
Yes. One more
Eileen
very,
or Sana, if anybody wants to add, may
that's well
pleasant.
said. Ma'am, one more interesting. Usually in hospital setups, patients are given Mary biscuits. But in OPD consultants, like when we tell the patient not to have, they tell us that hospital mein to serve karte hai. So how to deal with this, and what do you just how do you justify it? Very,
Again,
very.
portion control. So there was a concept, when people think about biscuit, they think about a packet.
Haan,
Okay. So we do get, it's not only about Mari biscuits. Yes, this will go for a change. I
change
think I
eventually.
am of that generation where we
Yes,
have to promote to go for a change. So this
yes,
is one of again the initiative what we would
yes.
like to drive on. Healthy snacks. I think I have heard Zamrud couple of times, and they have said that what healthy snacks you can serve the
Yes.
patients. And no is a no. Moderation is two biscuits.
Yeah,
Whether to take, nobody is forcing to put inside your mouth, right? It's a choice
exactly.
what you have to make.
The choice.
So
Yeah.
this is one. Again, there are if whether it is Mari or any other biscuit, please look at the label. There are protein-based cookies also. So if you are looking at for dialysis patients, there are protein-based cookies, there are
Hmm.
millet protein cookies,
Hmm.
vegetarian, vegan sources proteins, supplements. So all these choices can
Hmm.
be made. There
Hmm.
are alternates. Basically, the concept of biscuit comes because they want to dunk
Dip
something
it.
and they
Hmm.
want to sip.
Hmm.
So you may have to think about something which is of a porous texture or something to as a munch along,
Yeah.
and that is
Yes.
how we
True.
can. So
Yeah.
being mindful, training, and
Training.
understanding.
Eventually. Alkaline water. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Alkaline water is like a. I don't see any reason.
We are not actually promoters of any
Any.
alkaline water. Yes, but we say that the diet has to be
Hmm.
alkaline in nature. Most of your
Yeah.
vegetables are alkaline and they suit the gut. So,
Yeah.
but
That's
then alkaline water is something it is little we cannot predominantly advocate on that.
how to manage ICU patients when sodium potassium remains high. ICU renal patient.
Yes, so this is a clinical condition,
Hmm.
and there are a lot of aspects when we look into the critical. So sometimes it is AKI.
Hmm.
They have not talked about creatine, thankfully. Whoever has asked me question, so that is another funny thing. Sodium, potassium. Yes, by making the dietary selection, we choose low potassium diet. So in the diet hospital instruction, the clinical notes, it is written a low potassium diet, strictly
Hmm.
but foods which are rich in potassium, the fruits, coconut water is not served.
Hmm.
So this is the way what we look at. Renal specific diet is there. So it will be like a low potassium renal diet. So the
Diet.
gourd variety of vegetables will go,
Yes. Yeah.
small portion of curd, dal. So
Yeah.
we'll change the recipe, we'll
Recipe.
change the tray for
Hmm.
such patients.
I think these are all common questions. Chicken soup, be given chicken soup is again individualized. I feel may not. Calorie dense homemade drinks mid morning, evening app options. Okay, what is the what snack options during dialysis?
So, something about the chicken soup, let me just clarify. So, when you are having soup, chicken soup, so
Hmm.
basically, chicken soup it has its own flavor.
Hmm.
When you concentrate it, even in a smaller amount, you can relish it.
Yeah,
When, and why are you taking soup? If you're thinking chicken soup is giving
exactly.
you the protein, it is not giving you
It's
protein.
not exactly. Yeah.
So
Only for
first,
yeah.
again, a mindful approach.
Yeah.
That why I want to have a chicken soup. I want to have a chicken soup instead of a meal. So maybe a patient takes a thick chicken soup like a gruel, or our international patients take this potage where they combine the vegetable,
Hmm.
they combine the non-veg, and they take it as a thick kind of a gruel. So you can even add a little bit of oats or flour and make a thick bowl. So if it is your meal, probably you can use the extract in the
Yeah.
curry. It's all about the flavor and it's the right combination, how you are going to incorporate your science and an artistic way of making a creative recipe.
And the reason why I have skipped a few questions is because we can cover that in the renal nutrition course, because those are very elaborate ones. I'm picking up what you can answer quickly. Guide if creatinine values, one should biological value like dal, yeah. Mm. Uh, if the creatinine value is 1.5, can we give low biological value like dal, and or should we only focus on high BV foods?
The question is a little
No,
long.
it's okay. You can use both.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, ma'am, I think we've covered up most of it. A lot of them are repetitive, and some of them will need a lot of explanation. So I've skipped those. I've kept it your talk specific. You are answering it so well, ma'am, that they are going on and asking. I
I think
think
if creatine level is a high and malnourished, maybe it's a part of AKI and it's a different topic.
yes, yes,
And then maybe AKI and CKD, we
yes.
have to take it a different
Take it.
way. And we will definitely cover it. I think Eileen,
Cover
you
it.
can
Yes,
cover.
definitely. Very good talk, ma'am. It was very impactful. I must say, even I got to learn a lot today, and I loved the way you covered the
Yeah, very beautiful.
label reading. Very well done, ma'am.
Even your
Yeah,
slides were very innovative
very
and
innovative.
very,
Yes,
very
ma'am.
pretty, very practical, easy to
Yes,
understand. And I think
yes,
this lecture is all about that. And I saw that there are some lectures, questions which are pertaining to more theory. And
Hmm. Hmm.
I think we are going to cover up theory very soon.
Yeah.
So we are coming up with a course where we are going to explain theory. But if you all are interested in theory, do let us know, because we are going to do an early bird enrolling also for the theory course,
Hmm.
which we plan to roll it out around next month. But
Hmm.
we, as you know, when we are doing theory, we are going to cover details of physiology as well as understanding of the kidney diseases, like how Varsha said, it could be AKI.
Yeah.
So what you have to do in AKI, whether it is an acute phase AKI or a chronic phase AKI,
Hmm.
and when it is AKI on CKD, what is the
Hmm.
mode? So I think if you understand the disease conditions properly, you will be able to take the decision whether to give bread or not to give bread.
Hmm.
So I often also get this question of whether to give bread or not to give bread. Some patients say, please, can I have one slice of bread? And so when we are approaching such patients I first of all want to tell them that you see what condition you are in. Are you in an acute condition or are you in a chronic phase? So in a chronic phase, I tell them you have to lead a near normal life. Okay. But
Hmm.
only in an acute phase where we need to restrict at that moment, you restrict for that little while. But if
Yes.
your parameters are good, your electrolytes are well controlled, you're dialyzing properly, then you can afford to do a little bit beyond what normally would be eating, but just don't make things like a routine. So I wouldn't say that don't eat a sandwich at all in your life,
Hmm.
but you should be able to then adjust your sodium with the other foods in your other meals. So that's how it is. Secondly, also some patients are really not able to eat anything else. And you cannot say that you, because you're not eating anything else, you cannot eat a slice of bread as well. So those decisions are patient specific decisions which has to be taken when you're dealing with those patients. We'll talk about it more and more when we do theory class as well.
Sure.
And Sana, yesterday you shared some very good videos. Do you have any other videos to be shared right now?
I have doctor's video, and should I share the doctor's video?
Yes,
Dr.
please do share.
Salman's.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll just share it right away.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
share it.
Varsha, we thoroughly enjoyed what you said, because it was like, you know, uh, there is nothing like knowing everything, because it's like whenever you say
हम
that,
रेगुलरली देखते हैं जो अपने पेशेंट्स हैं वो बहुत सारे ऑल्टरनेटिव मेडिसिन और डिटॉक्स वाटर्स और होम रेमेडीज लेते हैं तो जो पेशेंट्स को किडनी प्रॉब्लम है उनको ऐसा
you
पानी
can't
दें
see the
उसका
video.
क्या ओपिनियन 1 second I'll put it back.
I think that is Sapna's video, right?
You want me to put Sapna's
Yeah,
video?
just put whichever good videos.
I'll put whatever I have and then we'll
Yeah,
extend
yeah,
time so
yeah,
we'll
yeah. You put what
I
video you
wonder
have.
why the voice is not being, is it heard?
Dr. Salma, yeah.
Is it audible?
No.
Okay, hello doctor. Is it audible? So
Yes,
हम रेगुलरली देखते हैं जो अपने पेशेंट्स is हैं वो बहुत सारे
yes.
ऑल्टरनेटिव मेडिसिन और डिटॉक्स वाटर्स और होम रेमेडीज लेते हैं तो जो पेशेंट्स को किडनी प्रॉब्लम है उनको ऐसा पानी दें उसके आपका क्या ओपिनियन है ये जो सारे मेडिसिन लेते हैं
एक्चुअली जो भी किडनी पेशेंट्स है, जो भी ऑल्टरनेटिव मेडिकेशन लेते हैं या फिर पानी लेते हैं या फिर कुछ भी ऑल्टरनेटिव चीजें करते हैं किडनी को डिजीज को प्रिवेंट करने के लिए, वो सब चीजों से कुछ होता नहीं है। बेसिकली वो सब चीजों पे ना ट्रायल है ना एविडेंस है कि वो किडनी को कुछ प्रिवेंट कर सकती है, किडनी की बीमारी ठीक कर सकते हैं। ज्यादातर तो हमने ये देखा है कि ऑल्टरनेटिव मेडिकेशन लेने से किडनी का बीमारी थोड़ा सा बढ़ सकता है। ठीक होना तो रिकवरी होने के लिए तो चांसेस ना एविडेंस है ना कोई प्रूफ है रिकवर या प्रिवेंट करने के लिए।
सर ये डॉक्टर्स क्लेम करते हैं कि क्रॉनिक किडनी डिजीज नहीं लेकिन नेफ्रोटिक सिंड्रोम वगैरह होता है तो हम उसको रिवर्स कर सकते हैं। डू यू थिंक इस पे कोई बेस है? जो पानी डिटॉक्स वाटर्स वगैरह होते हैं
ये सब बिना एविडेंस बेस्ड बातें हैं कि पानी से या फिर कुछ ऑल्टरनेटिव मेडिकेशन से नेफ्रोटिक सिंड्रोम या किडनी की बीमारी ठीक किया जा सकता है। ये सब फेक है और इससे कोई भी किसी भी चीज आज तक हमने तो नहीं देखा है कि कोई भी किडनी पेशेंट्स को ये डिटॉक्स वाटर या फिर ये ऑल्टरनेटिव मेडिकेशन से किसी को फायदा हुआ है। डेफिनेटली इससे नुकसान तो हुआ है बट फायदा किसी को नहीं हुआ।
थैंक यू सर। वन सेंटेंस फॉर द पेशेंट्स जो पहले ट्रीटमेंट होम रेमेडी चालू कर देते हैं उनके लिए।
सब पेशेंट्स को जो किडनी के पेशेंट्स नहीं भी हैं, डायबिटीज और ब्लड प्रेशर के पेशेंट्स हैं, उनके लिए एक ही मैसेज है मेरा कि आपको अगर किडनी का बीमारी लग रहा है या आपको कोई किडनी का बीमारी है तो आप कोई भी ऑल्टरनेटिव मेडिकेशंस या होम रेमेडीज वगैरह या फिर कोई भी वाटर कोई भी सजेस्ट करता है कोई या फिर यूट्यूब पे कोई मैसेज देखता है या वीडियो देखते हो कि इससे ये ठीक हो जाए तो प्लीज 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 वो सब चीज़ों पे ना विश्वास करें। वो सब चीजें फेक हैं, उससे कोई किडनी का बीमारी कोई चीज ठीक नहीं हो सकती। आप कोई नेफ्रोलॉजिस्ट या फिर कोई अपने किडनी के जो भी डॉक्टर है उनसे ही कंसल्ट कीजिए, उनसे ही आप बात कीजिए कि आपके जो भी क्वेश्चंस है कोई जो भी आपके प्रॉब्लम्स रहेगा उनके साथ शेयर कीजिए, वो आपको बराबर गाइड करेंगे। ओके,
थैंक यू।
Very
थैंक यू
nice.
मैम।
Very nice. Yeah. So I think we come to an end of today's session. Thank you, Varsha, and thank you, Sana. Tomorrow we will have our last session, and we have Amreen to give us this session. And Amreen is also a very well-known dietitian. She has worked at the Vocard Hospital in the past, and right now she's at the Fortis Hospital. She's a chief dietitian there, so she's going to give us a good insight of renal nutrition. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will share the interview links, ma'am.
Yes,
Sanjana's
yes,
interview is what Sapna wanted to share, but I don't. Shall I share that and people who want to watch can watch and others can leave? Shall I just
yes,
share it on the
yes,
screen? Yeah,
yes,
I'll just try Sanjana's interview.
yes, yes.
Sana, when you're trying to share, open the link. No, there's an option which asks for share voice. So if you
Okay,
can do that and select the option, the voice would be
okay.
heard. If you
That's
you can try, or else whatever suits best.
I'll just
You
try.
can do.
Because otherwise, I'll
Yeah,
just post the links also.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
So now
Thank
what we
you.
can do is tomorrow also at 3:30 before we
Yes,
start,
ma'am.
we can play
Yes, ma'am.
the videos, because there are people
Yes,
who join in from 3:15
Yeah.
onwards.
And
So
we
we
yes,
can
we
can
can
play
share.
do
those
that.
videos for them.
Yeah.
Sure, we can do that
In
also.
fact, from 3:15 onwards,
Condition
we
was
can
diagnosed,
start
the
Can
kidney
playing.
start
condition.
sharing. Yes, ma'am. Is this audible?
Yes, yes,
Sanjana's interview.
Hi everyone.
yes.
I'm Sanjana Amin. I'm 27 years old and I'm from Ahmedabad. So I'll be talking about my journey and how nutrition played such a big role in my life. So to start with, मैं 1.5 साल की थी जब this condition was diagnosed, the kidney condition. Protein loss हो रहा था, this entire nephrotic syndrome and everything. My face used to stay swollen, and I think before 27 years, 26 years, the idea about this condition, even doctors को इतना नहीं पता था, इतनी medications नहीं थी. But luckily something worked out and कुछ medicines मेरी set हो गई, because of which I was able to lead a quite normal life. मेरा schooling ये वो सब normal रहा. कभी न्यूट्रिशन पे उस टाइम पे ध्यान नहीं दिया, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली मुझे नहीं पता था हाउ बिग दिस इज. मेरे पेरेंट्स को आइडिया था कि दिस इज़ अ क्वाइट अ बिग कंडीशन, बट थैंकफुली दे नेवर मेड मी फील कि यू आर इन टू सच अ बिग थिंग और एनीथिंग. देन मेरा 12th ग्रेड ख़त्म हुआ, स्कूलिंग वेंट वेरी नॉर्मल. 12th ग्रेड, आफ्टर 12th ग्रेड मैंने अपना फर्स्ट ट्रांसप्लांट के लिए मैं गई. उस टाइम ऑल्सो आई वेंट फॉर माई ट्रांसप्लांट, आई गॉट इट डन आउटसाइड इंडिया, and 1-2 months of recovery and I was okay. अगेन बैक टू माई नॉर्मल लाइफ. मैंने मेरे नॉर्मल कॉलेज करी, अंडर ग्रेड अहमदाबाद से किया, एंड देन मैं न्यूयॉर्क गई अपने मास्टर्स के लिए. एंड 5 years into ट्रांसप्लांट मेरी किडनी में एक वायरस डिटेक्ट हुआ विच इज़ कॉल्ड बीके पॉलिमा. तो डॉक्टर ने मुझे ये एक्सप्लेन किया कि ये एक वायरस है विच इज़ देयर इन ऑल ऑफ आर किडनीज, बट दिस हैज़ गॉटन एक्टिवेटेड इन माई किडनी पर्टिकुलरली. तो शी एक्सप्लेन्ड कि उसकी एज सच कोई मेडिसिन नहीं होती, बट देन यू विल बी एबल टू लीड अ नॉर्मल लाइफ. ब्लड प्रेशर फ्लक्चुएशंस, अनईजीनेस लगना, थकान लगनी became a part of my life. But then I never knew the importance कि nutrition plays such a big role. तो मैं वापस न्यूयॉर्क गई, नॉर्मल कॉलेज, फ्रेंड्स के साथ घूमना, बाहर खाना, लाइफस्टाइल पे ध्यान नहीं देना, वो सब चलता रहा. Then again I moved back to my home in Ahmedabad and again same lifestyle continue रही. बट यहाँ आके फिर जैसे जैसे मैं बड़ी हुई I realized कि I want to know कि ये condition है क्या. All my life I've stayed with this. I'm leading a normal life just like my friends are or people of my age are. So that's when I started googling different things, this and that. So एक साल ऐसे ही निकल गया, and then until 2023 December my creatine shoot up to 8, and then doctor was like that now she will need a transplant again और या फिर डायलिसिस स्टार्ट करना पड़ेगा. सो जनवरी 2024 से मुझे डायलिसिस पे आना पड़ा. एंड लकीली दैट वाज द फर्स्ट टाइम कि मुझे डायलिसिस पे आना पड़ा. अनलेस मेरे इतनी साल से ये कंडीशन थी, बट देन कभी ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ी, मेडिसिन से सब मैनेज हो रहा था. और बैक ऑफ द माइंड सिंस ये कंडीशन मुझे 1.5 साल से थी, तो मॉम डैड ऑल्सो न्यू कि एक बार ट्रांसप्लांट का टाइम आएगा. तो माई मदर डोनेटेड मी अ किडनी इन मार्च 2024. So since then, I think my life has changed completely. Nutrition has changed me completely. I'm paying so much attention to nutrition, lifestyle, sleep cycle, कि it has become a part of me now. And I think उसके बिना I'm not able to stay also. It is like कि बाहर खाना तो it's a complete no. Friends के साथ बाहर हो, कुछ भी हो, but then it is time कि by 10:30 I come back home and by 11 I'm in my bed. So ये थोड़ी lifestyle चेंजेस करना पड़ा बिकॉज आई
पाणी
थिंक
टाकले झाडाला.
अब इट वाज हाई टाइम. क्या 27 आई हैव टू एक्सेप्ट दैट दिस इज माय कंडीशन.
काय करते
बहुत बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि आई
सोड
क्वेश्चन
तिखट आहे
दैट
ना मग.
क्यों
पण
मेरे
हेच
साथ ही ये
उघडायचं
होता
असतं.
है, व्हाई इज इट मी ओनली एंड नॉट समबडी एल्स. बट देन आई थिंक वी डोंट हैव अ चॉइस, वी हैव टू लिव विथ इट. एंड लकीली आई एम एबल टू लीड अ नॉर्मल लाइफ अंटिल नाउ, एंड आई एम श्योर फ्यूचर में भी ऐसा ही रहेगा. सो आई होप यू गाइज and understand that I think this is a part of us. We can't change it, but then I'm sure we can parallelly manage it well with medicines, nutrition, lifestyle, sleep, and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, a very good testimony. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sapna.
Thank you, Sapna.
It was a
थँक्यू सना. थँक्यू.
yeah.
Thank
See you
you,
all
Sapna.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.